I'd like to open up the Public Works Committee meeting. Roll call.
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield. Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham. Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
Could you let the record show that Alderman Mayfield did call and say she's not going to be able to attend tonight's meeting, so.
Okay. Okay, we got one item on the agenda, the review request to increase a contract value of the contract awarded on April 16, 2018 to Northern Divers USA for work associated with the cleaning of intake lines at the water treatment plant. We have Ed Wilms, the Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members. Before you this evening is a matter to increase the upper limit of compensation for Northern Divers. Northern Divers, as you know, did the intake line cleaning at the water treatment plant. Northern Divers has submitted an extra that they were presented with by one of their subcontractors for additional days of pump rental. At the request of Alderman January, she wanted to see the detailed backup for that, which I've included in your packets. As you see, it's a straight pass-through, which is fairly uncommon. There's usually some sort of a markup, but it was a straight pass-through expense.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? No? Looking for one thing, Ed.
What's that?
Those vehicles.
Oh, I have that. Actually, I have it right here.
Good.
I'll hand it out after the.
You have it, yeah, so everybody can get it. Okay. I would like to entertain a motion to close the Public Works Committee meeting.
So move. Second.
Moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Reynolds. Roll call?
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield. Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Markham. Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned.
Let's do economic development. My folks are not here.
Okay. Wait till Laura gets ready there.
Oh, I'm fine.
You ready? Okay, sorry about that, Laura. Could we open up the Economic Development Planning and Zoning Committee meeting? Roll call?
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield. Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham. Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
Present.
We have two items on the agenda, or one. It's a review request ordinance proposal approval of redevelopment plan project for the amendment of Skokie Highway redevelopment project area, adopting a tax increment financing covenant of a joint review board, and scheduling a public hearing. Victor?
Thank you very much,
All yours.
Alderman. So what we have before you is an ordinance, and the ordinance basically is calling for a public hearing on November, excuse
You
me,
can have it now, I got it.
excuse me, it's not, it is November, it's November 19th, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And the public hearing is to keep things moving along with the extension of our Skokie Highway TIF. As you may recall, I spoke to the committee a couple of weeks ago about the need and the purpose for extending the Skokie Highway TIF. We've seen quite a bit of development interest for a number of parcels that are currently vacant on the west side, and we certainly hope to use the benefits of the tax increment financing to help with some infrastructure improvements and other improvements that we can plan for that corridor. And if all goes well, we would hope that the expansion of this TIF area is approved by the end of this calendar year.
We have any questions? Okay, Alderman January?
You're talking about convening a joint review board. Do you have those members in place yet, and who are they?
We have, in the ordinance, we have a meeting scheduled with the Joint Review Board in October, and we have to select a member of the public to be part of this, which I will work out with the mayor. We have had one public meeting that took place a couple of weeks ago where a number of Strawberry residents came out, and they were concerned about the city's efforts in mitigating, in assisting in mitigating some of their flooding that's out there. But that's about all. Oh, as a matter of fact, we Excuse me, we had the school district out at this meeting, and the school district has reached out to us asking some information from us from the first,
Okay, we got off subject here.
I'm so sorry.
I'm asking about this joint review board. How many members, and who do you have already as members, and when's your first meeting?
Bear with me here. So the first meeting of the Joint Review Board is scheduled for, I have to refer to the ordinances,
Is that
October
that
17th.
October 17th?
And the members are members of the taxing body. It's one member from each taxing body.
Okay, and who's selecting
The
the
citizen,
citizen?
That's something that I will have to discuss with the mayor and appoint a
We've had
citizen.
Wendy at one point, didn't we? Was it Wendy?
We do, but in this one, we'll have to select a member from this area.
It has to be yeah, can it be a?
Oh,
member
from out in that area, that's
It
right.
has to be, yeah, it has to be a
Right.
citizen, so.
That's a detail that we still need to work out.
Okay, I think,
Oh.
probably myself and Reynolds,
right.
we could recommend some people, probably, right?
Yep.
Okay. We'll send you some names.
Okay, yeah, we're open to considering
Ask if
recommend.
they'd like to join the committee.
No problem.
Review board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let them know it's usually not very long either, so.
Yeah, what's the 17th? It's
17th.
What time, 10 a.m.? Is that what
10
it is?
a.m.
Yes.
10 a.m.
Okay. And then the public.
Go
hearing-
ahead.
Public hearing is November 19th at what time?
5:30.
5:30? Thank you.
Any more questions?
I just have one.
Go ahead.
Why do we have this on the committee and council? Is there a certain date that you're trying to get to, or what?
Yes, we
Yeah.
wanna continue, we wanna keep things moving along, and we wanna be in a position where we're able to adopt the TIF expansion by the end of this year.
But
If you
why
don't
do you
go,
have it on
You,
committee and council?
explain
yeah,
to,
you need 45 days before the date of the public
Oh,
hearing.
okay.
So that's why it's on both tonight.
it's-
All right,
if you
that's-
didn't,
that's
do-
what
that's
I'm
what you
asking.
want to hear.
Right. Okay.
And we did talk about it, and we had talked about making sure that we do things and let's look it over and decide, but this came up, and I said, okay, we can put it on, and if you guys
Okay.
don't want to, but it's a good question that you asked that. But we want to keep everything moving and get it approved and get moving, so if someone come
45
in
days.
wants to do that. Any more questions? I'd like to entertain a motion that we adjourn the Economic Development Planning Zoning Committee meeting. Can I get a
So, second?
moved and moved by me, and second by Alderman Evans. All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I would like to open.
Thank you.
I'd like to open the Building License Community Development Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield. Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham. Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
Present. All right, we have a two-line item agenda. First is discussion of special events. The North Chicago High School Annual Homecoming Bonfire is Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018. And then we have pending matters. Just open the floor for any discussions or concerns with the event coming up this week at the high school. Everything looks good as usual. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the annual,
Yeah,
so.
it'd
nothing
be
new.
nice.
it'd be nice.
If there's any questions or concerns anyone's aware of, okay? Hearing none, pending matters, anyone have anything for this committee?
No?
I do have something that I just discovered as I was doing some research and reading about Columbus Day, because next Monday is Columbus Day, and it's a recognized federal holiday. And I was reading up on it, and I I would like to bring forth that we, as a city, bring about a resolution to also recognize the Indigenous Peoples' Day. A number of cities throughout the country are doing this to give recognition to those that were here upon the discovery of America. And those are the American Indians. And we definitely are in an area that is was a heavily populated American Indian.
Potawatomi.
Of the land. So I would love to see our city put together a resolution regarding this and recognize it along with Columbus Day. So that would be, you know, again, the second Monday in October, and it would be termed Indigenous Peoples' Day. And I do have a copy of one from Seattle that I can be glad to forward on to the chief of staff and to the lawyers. And maybe we could have something put together by next city council for us to pass. I know it'll be after after the fact, but at least we could get it on the books. I just, you know, like I said, came about this when I was researching some stuff and looking at Columbus Day, and this popped up. And I was like, wow, this is pretty neat. And I think we should recognize the American Indian as well.
Okay.
So,
I have no problem with that.
I just wanted to bring that up. And hopefully we can take care of that next meeting, and it'll be on the books permanently as one of our days to recognize every second Monday of October. Okay? All right. Any other pending matters, anything? Okay, hearing none. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the Building License Community Development Committee meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Reynolds. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I don't think my folks are here.
All right, well, let's go ahead and open up the committee as a whole, and hopefully they'll be in by the time, be in shortly. Okay? Can we go ahead and have a roll call for the committee of the whole?
Alderman Fisher. Present. Alderman Mayfield. Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
Present.
Okay, we have two items. First one is regarding the beer and wine to increase it by one, which will be for 1704 Martin Luther King Drive. The Citco, I know it was brought to council at the last meeting, so I would put it back on committee.
Excuse me.
And then-
2704.
Oh, 27, okay. What did I say, 24?
17.
Excuse me, 2704 Martin Luther King Drive. So if anybody had any questions, just wanted to bring it back up so council be aware that it is on for a vote tonight. Alderman January?
I don't really have a question, it's more I have a recommendation. As this council knows and the citizens know, I'm not a proponent of alcohol in the city. However, we have continually, since I have sat on this council, seen gas station after gas station coming forward requesting to have the beer and wine license. And I think we're almost at a point now that there's only a few that don't have it. So my recommendation would be, let's just open it up to all the gas stations and let them have this beer and wine license. Because it's inevitable. They're just gonna come. And we really shouldn't be selective of who, at this point,
right.
gets what license, you know, who gets that license or not. That would just be my recommendation at this point to the liquor commissioner and to this council as we move forward, is that we go ahead and amend our vote tonight to reflect that, you know, whatever, the gas stations. I mean, obviously limited to the gas stations for the beer and wine license. So that's all I wanted to say. It was just a recommendation, a thought.
I kind of turned to my attorney on that one first before.
Well, yeah, I understand where Alderman January's coming from with that, except you do have to do a background check, and the only reason why other gas stations haven't come forward yet is they haven't made application. And you need to do the proper well, I don't know, but I'm assuming they're not here because they didn't file an application. And if they did file an application and they weren't issued a license, it may have been because there was some problem in the background check that is done. Alderman, you have answers apparently that I don't have. But from a public policy standpoint, I would not advise the city to open up a bunch of licenses that are just available to any gas station. I think that creates a bigger problem. I think if someone affirmatively wants a license, they need to apply for the license, go through the background check system, then we go through the legislative process of creating the license, and then the liquor commissioner can issue it. That is the best policy that you could follow.
Alderman, let me just say this in regards to that, then, and I understand where you're coming from also, because, you know, once we open that door up,
We're opening it.
it wasn't.
It's already open.
Yeah, it was, you know, we made a crack and now it's wide open.
Yeah.
So, you know, I could see your point, and I could probably understand, you know, that those that are interested in that. But we've also made a crack in the door also with gaming.
I didn't even go there.
But, I mean, if you're gonna take it there, let's take it there
It's a whole
too.
other discussion too.
But that's again, that's talking about alcohol and pouring license, and so, I mean, you know, there's a lot of places that are coming to me in regards to that also. In that same respect, as, you know, the same way that the gas stations started coming and we opened that door, we somewhat opened the door for gaming also. And I think that would be the, almost a kind of a same process. If they want to put an application in, go through a background check, bring it back to city council for a vote, then have that opportunity,
Okay,
so.
then the particular gas station that I'm thinking of, then I will make sure I personally walk them through all of this to ensure that they are brought in front of council, because this particular gas station has been in our town for years that I'm aware of, and have asked for licenses before I was an alderman in this seat, before even my predecessor, my husband, was in the seat. So I'll just make sure I personally walk them through
Right.
to ensure.
Right.
Very good. Alderman Fisher.
In case a situation goes down, like Attorney said, there's a situation where problem, you check the situation out and find that they had some acts.
That's why I will personally walk them through.
If you open it up to everybody, then
They convinced you the other day.
it's not, as we tried to say, no. It's the thing about it, going.
The background.
Make
I
sure
get
that, yeah, that they pass everything and then bring it to
I
council.
get that, but there's been issues prior.
She said, you have nobody. You ain't got nobody. Get somebody first. She said, see if they can keep
Yes and no.
about 14 you need. And we don't want
All right, then we'll proceed in that direction.
Thank you.
The second one is in regards to the code changes related to the city council and committee practices and procedures. I know that in your packet, actually Adam was one that actually was making these changes. I think they pretty much address all that we had spoke on, and the one that was one of the concerns was the committees, and that was left the way it was presented, or it is now.
So we're sticking with
Committees and everyone has their own
how we're
committee. Yes.
currently doing. Okay.
But just one, I mean, on that, the audit committee, which apparently was never fully formed, but did exist in your code, is now part of finance.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
So, I mean, if anyone has any questions, I think we put in regarding decorum and some other rules that are in, that were requested. It's not on council for tonight. Again, it was put back together from our last council meeting and tried to put in here all the requests that was asked. So, please review it. I like to, and again, it's not a rush to try to get this on council to be passed. If you haven't really had an opportunity to review it, come back with any questions either to myself or to David or Adam. And maybe at that point, at our next council meeting, I'll put it back on committee for questions and concerns. Then I also put it on council. But if we do have a problem while it's in committee, it always can be taken back off and not voted on at that time also. Okay? Alderman January?
I just wanted to say thank you to our city attorneys for adding in about 2 readings. I appreciate that you added that to ensure the integrity of our voting. I appreciate that.
Well,
That was very important.
and I think it is too. I personally do think that, trying to get 2 readings is something that we should really try to adhere to. But again, just like tonight, there was something that did come up that we were under a deadline. And, if council was,
But it was made clear that
Of
this
what-
is a
yes.
deadline, this is the reason.
and this is why we're moving, and I think that's why we should try to keep it in that same direction, so, okay. So,
Oh,
Are
and
there any
also
questions?
One last thing.
Sure.
We are still doing the reverse. The council at 6,
Yeah.
and then committees will be following after.
Yes. And then we do have, like I say, well, as we spoke on, citizens' comments will be up front so that they can speak and from there.
I would just request, last thing, is when we do, at our next meeting, go to vote on this, that the ordinance be written up and copies being provided to the citizens so they can see
Changes are being
what
made.
how they're involved with these changes and what's gonna affect them.
Good.
I would request that
Sure.
be part of next meeting.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, concerns? Alderman?
Also, with this change on here, could you make sure that you enforce this instead of just changing it? Make sure the criteria is when people come up here and they speak, instead of bringing up the same subjects all the time, can you please stop them?
Can't stop.
I will do my best.
Not stop them from talking, but in here it says, no, well, I'm going according to
Repeating,
it,
repetitive.
right?
Yes.
So please enforce that if we're gonna have it in there, for the simple reason that, we got a lot of residents that's paying attention to this council. And what they hear is a lot of repetitiveness, over and over, and it'd be the same thing week after week. So they're about tired of it. Thank you.
Well, go ahead, Alderman Markham.
No, this is nothing to slight you, sir.
Okay.
In the IML conference, they had one of the sessions was talking about, council situations. And it was brought up that we cannot monitor what a person says. We can monitor that time frame, and they stated that it should be at 3 minutes, not less than that. But we cannot dictate or monitor what they say. If they come up and say the same thing over and over again, we can't. You can state that, but you can't edit their commentary. So
But let me add to that though, if a person gets up to speak and brings up a subject and then brings that subject back up again in that same,
That's repetitive.
that's what it's
right.
speaking of.
Well, I'm
Right.
talking about if they come back again.
Well, yeah, the next
The
council
next
meeting,
council
they can
meeting.
speak on it as many times as they
Right.
want.
You can't.
Yeah,
Right. Yes.
But if they get unruly and disrespectful, then you can do something about that.
All right. You know what? I can say one thing. Those conferences are great.
Yes.
We learn a lot from those things.
I did.
I gotta say that.
Yeah. Good conference. So, okay. There's nothing else. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Been moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Reynolds, that the committee of the whole stand adjourned. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I believe the representative is here. I'd like to open up the Finance Committee meeting. Roll call.
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield. Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
One item agenda, review, discussion, audit to maximize review as of our government solutions. Come forward, sir. How are you?
Very good.
Good, good.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic was
It's okay.
terrible from coming downtown, so. Nice to meet all of you. Thank you for having me. Thanks to Deb and Mayor Rockingham for having me here as well. I'm from As of Our Government Solutions. We're a company that's been around for about 22 years. Been doing these reviews for the last 13 or 14 years. And basically what we're doing is making sure that the utility providers are doing what they should be doing in regards to each address in your municipality. A lot of times, Comcast, ComEd, NICOR miscode the geocode on addresses. Basically, with our proprietary software, we're able to lay upon your GIS or water billing data, any FOIA-able data. We're really not taking anything proprietary from the municipality. We're making sure with agility that we are finding every address that is miscoded by these providers. Things that can cause the miscoding, they can misspell a word in the address. Municipalities can share zip codes, so it's very easy to miscode to other municipalities that surround you. They don't keep up on annexations as well as they should. So we're the gatekeeper to make sure that they are doing that to 100% compliance. The beauty of the program is it costs nothing if you don't find anything. So there's no upfront fees, there's no back-end fees. We're basically sharing found money with you for a 36-month term. And I got a consortium together of 7 to 8 communities. I need one more to make 9, which would be the biggest discount. Normally we do 55, 45, 55% for the municipality, 45% for As of Our, but with these other municipalities in the mix, such as Lincolnshire, Winthrop Harbor, and others, we're able to go down as low, if we get one more, 37%. So right now it's at 38%. So the municipality would get 62% of the revenue, 38% for As of Our. I'll just stop right there. I don't want to cloud you with too much information all at once, but that's the basis of what we do.
Questions, folks? Anyone? Alderman?
What is your success rate for the average municipality?
Right, and that's a hard question to answer because you don't know what you don't know until you start digging into the data.
Mm-hmm.
We found, the program doesn't discriminate on populations. You could say, oh, we're just a small town and we're only 20,000 or 30,000. We go as low as 1,000. We've had communities of 1,000, as high as Cook County. Cook County is our client as well. So it all depends on the provider, what they've done. I can't generally say a population of 20,000 is going to return this amount of money. Downstate, we found a lot more when another provider, Ameren, miscoded full municipalities. Springfield, we just found, and I shouldn't talk about it, but they evangelized it in the Springfield Journal. We just found $980,000 of Comcast gross operating revenue that was miscalculated. We found that in 2011. We negotiated with our attorneys and finally got the settlement done in April. So there's a lot of time that we take to make sure we're getting all the revenue without using the municipalities' staff time, because that is critical. They should be doing other things besides looking at addresses one by one to make sure if they're coded correctly, we're able to do it with agility.
Got one question.
Alderman?
How many months in your study would it take you to get the data all in? Just curious about, is it a year? Is it, whatever, just tell me what you think.
Right, so when you sign the contract and do the non-disclosure agreement, and we, once, Comcast or Nicor or ComEd hears the name Azavar, they know what the marching orders are, because we have close to 200 municipalities in Illinois. So to get the data, it probably takes, on average, 2 to 3 months. It all depends on how forthcoming they are, but we have such a relationship with them now that it's pretty much like in lockstep. So you're starting to see results within 6 to 9 months after the audit is started. I do the 90-day updates, so Deb would get a 90-day update from me every 90 days in regards to every audit that's going on. So there's always line of sight to what's going on with the audits. It's not just sign the contract and we'll see you later. We're working with the municipality to get those results as soon as possible.
That's good. 90 days is great.
We have 15 auditors working on each and every, like I've done gas and electric, so I'm working on gas and electric. Somebody else is working on Comcast. Somebody is looking at the Illinois Department of Revenue data so that sales tax is being remitted to you correctly. You can think of a municipality on Harlem Avenue that borders to Chicago. We just found 4 addresses that IDOR was remitting to Chicago and not that municipality.
Okay.
So, and we're able to give, sales tax money back as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Alderman?
Thank you, Chairman. We have a unique city here.
Mhm.
We're not just a municipality, we are also a military city. So with that, have you worked with any other cities that are like ours? And if you did, how is that affected? Because we share zip codes and
Right.
boundaries.
Right.
So-
So basically, what we're looking at is just North Chicago's boundaries. So if I'm getting your question right, we're just making sure that you're getting the revenue for your city. Not, it doesn't matter if there's I don't know if you share
Great
what does it
Lakes.
call it?
Naval Station.
Naval Station with any other any other city or town. I'm not sure, that's all
Yeah,
yours.
They completely sit within North Chicago.
Correct.
boundaries.
Correct, and so basically, we're just making sure that that is being coded correctly on all databases to make sure you're getting the most revenue.
Okay. Because we don't get revenue from them.
No,
It's
no.
separate, but they're within our boundaries.
Correct, and we are,
Make sure.
right, correct, and we are, all the findings that we find, we deal with them or the mayor, and we let them know of what we found. It's even in the contract, if we do find something that's at a detriment, we'll step back from that, let you know what's going on in regards to that. And when you're thinking about addresses, one more thing to think about, when you're dealing with residential, you're dealing with $2 to $3 an address per month. When you're dealing with industrial and commercial, you're dealing with more like $5 to $10 a month. If there's back taxes to go after, we go after that with our attorneys, not your attorney or your municipality staff time. We go back, just like we did with Springfield, and get that money for you. It's dependent on your T-bors and your T-bor and ordinances.
I have a question. Out of, when you do contracts, is it usually 3 years?
Yes, that's the standard.
And have you ever had, within a 3-year period, have you ever had where you didn't find anything out of that 3 years?
Correct. There are some audits, when I do my client updates, it'll say audit complete, no findings. And that's just a matter
So-
of having no exception.
After that time of that 3 years, did nobody get paid?
I'm gonna say there's like 8 audits within the umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So within at least one of the audits, on all of them,
Oh,
we
okay.
found somebody.
Right.
Saying like, it'll say electric, complete, no findings. Gas, we found 25 addresses.
Okay, so you got at least 8 different.
8 different audits that we can conceivably do depending on what taxes are in
Okay.
the municipality and city. Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, just a off question from that.
Mhm.
if all of your audits came back with nothing, which that'd be hard to believe here, but
Right.
if they did all come back with nothing, or even like you found one that had a small amount of dollars, is there a charge to the city for the other audits that
No.
came back with no findings?
No, we find nothing, it costs nothing. We find that one address, and that address remitted on average of $2.50. We're splitting 6238 of $2.50.
Okay, okay, so you're standing to that,
Correct, yes, there are no upfront
Percent.
fees. If we find nothing, it costs nothing.
thank you.
Alderman Fisher.
You know, what's the percentages so far as the collections are concerned between the city and your organization?
And none, and
The
32,
money that you collect, percent that we get, percent that you get, is that correct?
yes, yeah, if we find,
6337.
what is it?
What would it be?
Well, we don't know until we do the audit.
no, he's asking, and I think you
You
mentioned it,
mentioned it.
6337?
Right now, it's 6238, because there's 8 municipalities involved. Lincolnshire, Winthrop Harbor.
You ain't got his name. You ain't got his name.
So, I mean, all entities that you're looking at, so like even with 911,
We're starting to look at 911 as well, because that's been a concern for a lot of municipalities. So we're starting that, we're vetting that audit as well, so that's another
piece of
one,
it.
piece of
Okay.
it as well. But food and beverage, hotel, motel, gas, electric, cable, water, if it's not municipality owned. Sewer, I'm working on a sewer one right now for Matson. Matson, we just found $42,000 of AT&T revenue because they had it miscoded, their receivables that the municipality was for their lights. They had exemptions in there they didn't have exemptions in there. They didn't have, they had POTS lines in there from 1985 that hadn't been taken off. So we also have an AT&T representative that worked for AT&T that does the receivables as well in gas, electric, and telecom.
maybe too late on that one, but, okay. Our
So,
IT people.
so when you find the mistakes, who does the repairs?
So that's another good point. So we don't get paid until you get paid. So ultimately, to this gentleman's question, I said we find it in approximately 6 to 9 months. So what Deb and the mayor will get is a full audit report, professional audit report, which is a verification memo, which will show all the communications between, for example, Comcast and us. So, for instance, I'm just going to say we found 100 addresses. So we'd go to Comcast and we'd deliver that information to them. They'd come back and go, we believe you on 50 of them, that they were wrong, but we don't believe you on the other 50. We need more proof. So we will go back with what our evidence finds, matching up the two databases to make sure that the other 50 are vetted out, and then finally coming to that number at the end, and then the verification memo is submitted, and Deb will look it over, and we identify address by address by address.
Mr. Mayor, oh,
Have,
Dave?
have you received our office's comments yet?
I have, and
Have you
our
responded to them?
No, I haven't responded, but they wanted to let you know that we look to get that to you in the next week.
Okay.
So,
So if city council's prepared to approve this agreement tonight, make it subject to final attorney review.
Final attorney review, okay.
Any more questions?
Well, thank you, Chairman. With that, do we need to do it tonight? Can it be held off until our next council? I mean, is there,
there's a reasoning for it because it needs to be approved in October. I mean, probably by the next meeting. Either way, I mean,
you
it's
would need
up
to
to
know
you.
by the end of October,
The
right?
deadline's October 31st, yes.
Well, why don't we just hold off until we do get the approval from our city attorney? Until, we do have one more meeting.
David?
I'll
It's,
leave that up to you.
that's up to
all.
you. You can approve it subject to final attorney review if you're comfortable with that, or you can wait. It's up to you.
Because ultimately, if you
I-
approve it, and we don't come to an agreement, then there would be no harm, no foul.
we've got a little time.
Well, this is a sure thing, right, David?
What's that?
Well, I mean, should we?
Alderman, I'm an attorney, there's no sure
I
thing.
know. Okay, all right then. All right then. All right. Tell you what. We will approve this at the next meeting. How about that?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, let me real quick, I'm sorry. Tom,
Yes.
so at the next meeting, then we're gonna be added to your 9 though still, right?
To the 8.
Oh, the
which is
8.
The 8.
Okay, we,
You'd still
We'll-
get the discount for the 8.
I just wanna make sure.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
I don't wanna come back, you say, oh, you missed it, and, you know, we're.
Right.
we're-
No.
We're back at 50/50.
Right, no.
Thank you again, Tom.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.